Everybody. I'm NEAR's 2020 President, Kristen Keegan, and I'd like to thank you all for joining us at our virtual town hall. To keep things organized and reduce interruption, I'd like everyone to please keep yourself on mute and use the chat feature to submit your questions. That way we'll be sure to address all of your questions. For those of you who are joining us via Facebook, please ask your questions using the comment box. This session will be recorded and posted to our website later today. As you all know, the past few weeks have been filled with a lot of change and uncertainty in our business. Today, NEAR CEO Maria Brogan and I are hoping to help answer some of your questions about COVID-19 and how it's been impacting real estate with the help of two very special guests. These two guests have been critical in keeping us informed about what's happening both at the state and national level. So I'm very excited to welcome our MAR President, Kurt Thompson, and MAR CEO, Teresa Hatton. So let's get started. I'd like to address one of the most timely topics first, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, or PUA. As many of you know, the website opened up yesterday for Massachusetts residents to apply. Would either of you like to tell us a little bit more about this program and its evolution to opening yesterday?
Sure. Kurt, you want to start and I'll finish, or vice versa? Okay, you're on mute, so I'll start.
Sorry about
Thanks for having us today. We're excited to be here and talk through some of these new programs with you. So the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program is a federal program that the states had to agree to be in partnership with the Federal Department of Labor in order to receive funds to cover non-traditional employment situations who were not available for existing unemployment insurance, including gig workers and independent contractors. So as of yesterday, Massachusetts launched their system earlier than they expected. They had over 50,000 applications yesterday. Some of the feedback from some of our members was inconsistent. Some people were being asked for 1099. Some people were being asked for their prior tax returns. Some people were being asked for no documentation. If and when you apply and you experience this, please know that it's okay. It's based upon the new software that the state of Massachusetts put together and linked to other databases at the state level. So they could have, if you filed your taxes already and they have your previous information, they may not request it from you. And if they don't have it, they may request it from you. So just be sure to be prepared. We have a list on our website, marcovid19.com, of the documentation that you'll need. Also, when you go to mass.gov/PUA, there's a very nice, concise form of the information that you'll need as well. The payments will start going out soon. If you are approved, you will automatically get an additional $600 on top of whatever Massachusetts determines your weekly payments will be. So that is kicked in from the federal government. So that will be included right away. You can apply for retroactive assistance. As of right now, the current software is only available to go retroactive to March 14th. If you feel as though your business was impacted and you have more of an economic impact that started prior to that date, you're going to have to wait until after April 30th to request retroactive payments back to February. So a couple of moving pieces. Great that they were able to get the system up sooner, but the full impacts and the retroactive experience will be available after April 30th.
Awesome. And how long will the unemployment benefits last?
They will last up to 39 weeks. The federal program with the additional $600 goes through December 26, 2020 of this year. So Massachusetts up to 39 weeks and the extra 600 through December 26th.
Excellent.
And I was gonna say, and also there is a max on that. So the state maximum weekly rate is $823. In cases where individual has partial earnings, their earnings must be reported and their weekly benefit amount may be reduced.
Okay, so their commissions, they should report along with their benefits weekly.
Mhm.
Okay, great.
And in order to apply, we have had this question a few times. You had to have made at least $5,100 in 2019. So if you are a broker and you had 0 transactions last year and no income, and you're trying to apply as a broker as your only source of income, you would have need to have made at least some income of $5,100 last year.
Excellent. Now, how about, we heard last week that funding for the SBA programs like the Payroll Protection Program and the Economic Injury Disaster Loans, the EIDLs, have been depleted. What should our members do if they've already applied for these types of programs? What would their next steps be?
I would say be patient or prepared depending on where they are in that process. So for those that have loans in process that are already pending, when more funds are approved, they likely will move through those loans that have already been filed. For those that have not applied yet, I would make sure you get all of your documentation together so that you're prepared for when that portal does reopen. If they're taking additional applications, that you can get your application into the system.
Great.
And the federal government is working on adding another $250 billion to this program, hopefully towards the end of this week. Some information that I read this morning stated that that would fund almost all the existing applications already in the pipeline. So there will be a need for a third stimulus for all those individuals who have not yet applied. So just as Kurt mentioned, get all of your documentation together, get prepared for once it opens. If you haven't submitted yet, to submit as quickly as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. And some members are still having difficulty with smoke and CO2 certifications. Can you tell us a little bit about the groups that you've been working with and any updates you've heard on this?
Absolutely. So we spoke very early with the Fire Prevention Association of Massachusetts, and in collaboration came up with the smoke certificate waiver that we implemented a few weeks ago. The first and most important thing is those members that are still in the field practicing, as you're coming into your closing, do reach out to your local fire departments and see if they are issuing smoke certificates. Our data from the fire departments that have responded to us indicate that about 77 to 80% currently are not doing smoke certificates, but there's still about 20 to 23% that are still out there doing them right now. If you are using the smoke certificate waiver, a couple of important things there. The first one is that it is just a deferral of the time to get the smoke certificate. So it's deferring it until 90 days after the end of the state of emergency, but they still need to happen. It shifts the responsibility from the seller to the buyer, but the waiver does require agreement and written consent by both parties to be able to use. And that form does need to be provided to the local fire department within 72 hours of being executed.
Perfect. And along with these smokes, I know that you've created some other contract addendums. Can you share some information about those and where the members can access them?
Sure. We have another COVID-19 specific addendum for the purchase and sale agreement, and it covers delays in the transaction related to COVID-19 interference. So it would provide an extension for a certain period of time if, for example, you had an appraisal delay or you had some other issue related to not being able to have the closing done. So that is available via the Zip Forms catalog, and also available on the MAR COVID-19 site under forms and extensions. You can download them there. If you are a user of another platform, it's also been loaded into .loop and DocuSign as well.
Perfect. Now, some of our members also are having issues being concerned with potential liability. They've been presented with forms requesting information about their buyers. Mm-hmm. What should the members be aware of, and what should they do if presented with forms like this?
So that is a great question. Thank you so much, Kristen. So the most important thing is these are exactly the conversation that real estate realtor practitioners should be having with their broker, because most of the guidance should be coming down with the broker in conjunction with their agents and talking to your clients in terms of how they want their property represented or what limitations they may put on them. We have seen a lot of those disclosures that come in. We are urging extreme caution because some of them, depending on the types of questions they're asking, and also how the person using the form is planning on safeguarding that information, we do feel does create some potential liability exposure, or could potentially cross over 93A fair housing issues. If somebody is using a form or any modification to a normal showing process, it is critical that it is done 100% across the board with all consumers coming through, and that it's not done here or there piecemeal. That really opens up the door for liability or potential issues later on. But again, talk to your broker. Let them know what forms you're planning on using. Maybe have your broker vet it through their legal representative to make sure that they feel that it's a good idea. But that's really where a lot of these decisions are being made right now.
And there's a little bit of confusion also about real estate licensing and the extension that's being offered. Can one of you clarify that for us as well?
Sure. So on real estate licensing, here's the great news for a lot of our practitioners. We've got your back and we're extending a lot of the deadlines, whether it is real estate licenses or other licenses across the state. You're going to have the ability to be able to have time to be able to resolve out any challenges in that area. So the first one is regarding real estate licenses. If you have a birthday that's coming up, whether it was in March, coming up in April, or potentially May, we do have an extension in place until 90 days after the lifting of the state of emergency. So you'll be able to at that point, be able to get your license renewed. Also, through communication with MLS, they have also indicated that they will not shut off our members with MLS PIN if you have a birthday or expiring license, to make sure that you're able to continue practicing as well. When it comes to renewal of driver's licenses, those have been extended for 60 days as well. And the most important thing is if you were one of the wonderful realtor champions and you had ordered a welcome home plate, our new initiative to fund the charitable foundation, because we know there's going to be a lot of need after we come out of the COVID-19 issues. We've extended those timelines as well for you to be able to pick up plates later on.
Excellent. Have either of you heard anything about how New Hampshire is handling the real estate licensing? Because we do have a lot of members that are, joint licensed in Mass and New Hampshire. I don't know if you've heard anything about that.
I have not, but I can text my colleague in New Hampshire right now and see if he can give me a quick update.
Right. We'll check into that. I do not have any information myself specifically over the border, but hopefully we can get you something by the end of this call. And if not, we'll get the information back to you so you can provide it with your members shortly.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We also are receiving a lot of questions about mortgage forbearance. What information can you share about this program and the potential implications to homeowners and our members who choose to use that mortgage forbearance program?
So there's a lot that's coming down right now, and I know that we'll be talking about this a lot more in the coming weeks. So there was a mass housing bill that was passed just yesterday. On Wednesday, April 15th, the legislators conference committee had reached consensus on COVID-19 housing bill. And yesterday, Monday, April 20th, Governor Baker signed that bill into law. You can definitely read more about the process and the prior bill versions and their update on April 11th and April 4th. And you can find those on our website at marcovid19.com. So the consensus bill, which is H4647, is largely similar to the Senate version of S2631, though the bills passed both the legislative bodies had much in common. The consensus bill provides temporary protection for homeowners and renters and helps mitigate the impact of COVID-19. So protection for homeowners. The bill provides two important protections here for homeowners. First, there is a moratorium on foreclosures for the sooner of 120 days from enactment, which was yesterday, or 45 days after the end of the state of emergency. and also 180 days of mortgage forbearance for homeowners experiencing a financial impact from COVID-19. Now, MAR did advocate in support of including this important provision, which appears in the Senate bill, but not the House bill. Our argument focused on the need to protect homeowners in order to prevent short sales and foreclosures and provide residential rental property owners with additional protections in order to help prevent displacement, even if tenants were unable to pay rent during the state of emergency. So there's also some protection for tenants in there. The bill provides several measures aimed at protecting residential and small business renters. The following provisions are also in effect for the sooner of 120 days from enactment, which was yesterday, or 45 days after the end of the state of emergency. The bill also does give the governor the ability to extend deadlines in 90-day increments, so that date could move. Landlords are prohibited from imposing late fees or reporting to credit agencies for non-payment of rent. Terminating tenancies or sending notices, including notices to quit or vacate properties, unless the tenant is engaging in criminal activity or a violation of their lease terms that would create a health and safety risk. MAR and GREB opposed the prohibition of notices to quit, arguing that we are essentially reducing a procedural step towards accessing settlement and programmatic assistance for both parties that will be having issues during this process. Courts are also prohibited from accepting filings or scheduling court evictions related to non-essential evictions in the deadlines of currently pending cases. And law enforcement officials are also prohibited from executing non-essential evictions. There are some protections from landlords. The bill does extend protections to landlords. The mortgage forbearance covered above provides some relief, though it is limited to owner-occupied properties with 4 units or less.
All right, thank you. Maria, I know, I'm sorry, Teresa, did you say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure to caution our members, and if clients ask, make sure you call your mortgage lender, because some federal programs that are FHA backed have another forbearance option in addition to what's going on in Massachusetts. But always check with your lender to make sure that if you are not going to pay, you notify them and you work something out, not that you just decide to not pay and think that,
right,
you know, you're covered under some program. There's lots of different lending tools available out in the market.
Thank you. Maria, I know you've been going through questions as they're coming in. Do you want to go over some of those with us so that we can get them answered? Can you hear us? Maria?
Are you waving to me?
Yes, I can. And can you hear
I
us?
have all static, so if you guys can hear me, good.
Yes,
I can't hear anything. I'm getting a delay from Facebook of some of the audio. Are you waving to me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, I hear
Oh,
it.
it's loud, like on
So
repeat.
you guys can hear me?
So if you want, Maria, I'm happy to read some of the questions.
Mhm.
Oh, it's loud, like on
As they're
repeat.
coming in. Yep, there's some good ones over
All
there
right, here
too.
we go.
So
So,
if you want, Maria, I'm happy to read some of the questions.
a little bit of feedback there. You can go back to mute, Maria. It's okay. We can go through them. So we have a question from Ken. How is it going to work if you collect and say, happen to have a closing in the middle of it? As a contractor, previously, they didn't allow us to collect. Does that supersede the new program?
Yes, so the new program is specifically for contractors who were not applicable to the standard unemployment insurance programs by the DUA, Department of Unemployment Assistance, and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. There's a lot of acronyms, so I'll try and say the words way out loud so that I don't confuse anyone. So yes, this PUA, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, is new. So you would go to mass.gov/PUA, and they'll walk you through the application process. There is weekly reporting required. So if you are receiving for say 5-6 weeks and then you have a closing, you'll have to report that weekly, and they'll make an adjustment if need be.
Thank you. And yes, you do need to go to the specific PUA website to apply. You can't go to regular unemployment. We qualify for pandemic unemployment, not your typical Massachusetts unemployment.
Right.
Another question is, at 5,100 paid in 1099?
It just has to be an income in total from what the FAQ on the state's website said.
Excellent. And again, that's mass.gov/PUA to apply. On the Mass Unemployment website, FPUC, which is 600 extra weekly payment only paid through July 31st. Teresa said that is paid through December.
And if I did say that, I apologize. It's actually, the federal program goes through July 25th, and then Massachusetts goes through December 26th. So I apologize if I used the wrong acronym. Keep in mind, though, that we've got more stimulus packages coming out and lobbying for additional PUA. The extra $600 is included in all of our national lobbying efforts. So as we see more stimulus packages coming down, that extension will likely take place as well.
And Jim is saying, I thought you had to enter the number on line 31 of Schedule C, which after deductions could be less than 5,100.
So this is where I mentioned some people are being asked for 1099, some people are being asked for Schedule C, some people are being asked for bank statements. So every case is different. And if you get denied, there is an appeal process. And I highly recommend that you do it, because this is the first time in history that this program is being rolled out. So the software was built, but they're not going to be able to accommodate every single situation automatically with an algorithm. So if you do get denied, please appeal and have the opportunity to speak to somebody live over the phone and explain your situation and share more documentation.
And Wendy, we will get you an answer about what New Hampshire is doing for the licensing renewals. And Ken, does this extend the letter of good standing for those pursuing a New Hampshire license? That's a good question.
Yep.
So the letter of good standing is a realtor thing. So if you wanted to apply and say that you're already a realtor here, if you've paid your dues for 2020, you have a letter of good standing throughout the whole year, unless you have an ethics violation that could potentially impact that. So you should be in good shape for that. And I'll keep you posted on the extension and the timelines for license renewal.
Thank you. And let's see, just to clarify, forbearance is only available for owner-occupied rental properties.
Yes, but
Yep.
less than
4
4
units or less. If you have a transaction close in March, are you still able to collect?
I would apply. Absolutely. There's no issue with not applying. So this is really set up to make, if your business has been impacted by this and you can't work as much as you have in previous years, or you can't do as much, that's what this program is for. So even if you had one closing or a couple, but maybe last year you had like 10 and now you had 2, that's okay. Definitely just apply.
Awesome. And can you apply for both the PPP and the PUA?
Oh,
Yeah.
great question. Go ahead, Kurt.
So there's no limitation. So we have been getting that question quite a bit, because you've got PPP, you've got EIDL, and you've got PUA, and members, does one lock me out from another? So specific to PPP and PUA, there is no limitation. You can definitely apply for both programs. However, do be aware that if you applied under PPP, which was Payroll Protection Plan, and then you paid yourself as an employee, that could potentially impact your income stream for determination on PUA, but we have not gotten any guidance at all on that yet. So we're going to be listening to see if there is. PPP and EIDL, EIDL does reduce PPP in terms of what you're eligible for, but we're not aware of any limitation between PPP and PUA at this time.
Awesome. And do you know anything about how unemployment's being handled in New Hampshire?
Yes, so actually every Monday evening at 6 p.m., the regional CEOs have a call. So we actually talked about unemployment quite a bit yesterday, since Massachusetts launched yesterday. That New Hampshire has been live. They were one of the first to go live. And from what my colleague there said, Paul, that, you know, it's been going smoothly. So if you are a resident of New Hampshire, definitely check out the unemployment page on New Hampshire's website and apply. And if you need any assistance, feel free to call out to the New Hampshire Realtors. They're happy to help.
Awesome. So yes, Ken, your letter should be good. And do we have any other questions? I haven't been able to look on Facebook. I don't want to miss anybody there. Do you know if there's anything, Maria? I don't know if she can see. Well, if we do have any other questions from Facebook, we will reach out to you and make sure that we get answers to any of your questions. Oh, Maria, yes. When someone is applying for a New Hampshire license, they need to have their license verified by the Division of Professional Licensure. Do we, by the Division of Professional Licensure? So there will be obviously a delay with that, since the Division of Professional Licensure is very short-staffed due to the pandemic, I'm assuming. Do we have to file 2019 taxes before applying for the PUA? No.
You do not, and that's where the documentation is not consistent for everyone, because if you've already filed, they'll have that information. If you haven't filed, they might request other information from you. So it's not a requirement that you have, but some of the applications where they have been processed faster.
Okay. Wendy has a client that will not sign the fire waiver until PNS. Is that an issue with getting to the fire department within 72 hours? Wendy, my understanding is that once that form is fully executed by both parties, you then have the 72 hours to submit that form to your local fire department. So that's fine if they want to wait until purchase and sale. Anything else, Maria? All right, well, if we missed any of your questions, we will be checking that Facebook page. Oh, we got another one now. From Deborah, what about liability for brokerages and sellers if a visitor to a property gets sick with COVID?
So great question. We have gotten this question quite a bit from practitioners out there. And I know that that's one of the reasons we're seeing a lot of those different forms coming into play as well. So to the best of our knowledge, if somebody is acting in good faith, we are not aware of any liability exposure that our agent has had yet. That said, if you have active knowledge that the house, there are COVID-19 members that are sick in the property, or your client is sick and you're taking them in actively with that knowledge, I would anticipate that there could potentially be some liability in those cases with significant negligence. That said, my standard answer is going to be the same. You really should be having these conversations with your broker and your clients as well to make sure that you have agreement on what the rules of engagement are for how showings are going to be held. And regularly, and this is just the best practices from Kurt, I always ask whenever I'm going into a property the morning of, has anyone been sick within the last 14 days before accessing a property? Because the facts on the ground can change very rapidly.
And do you know, if you live in New Hampshire but work in Mass, which state would you file with?
New Hampshire.
Okay, excellent. And do we know if there's an extension for New Hampshire licensing?
Still waiting to hear back from Paul. I'll let you know.
Let's see. I already applied for and am receiving regular Mass unemployment. Didn't know about PUA at the time. Do I need to make any changes to that?
No, so you can only apply for one of the two programs. So if you're already in, let that process work is my best advice. Talk to your tax accountant if you want, but you can apply for both. So you have to choose one or the other.
Great. We have another question. If you do not have a commercial account and have not had a loan before, how do you apply for PPP? I do have a rental property that has a loan. Will that help?
So if your loan provider is an SBA lender, yes, it would likely help. There is no law that requires that you have to have an account. The statute and the regulation does not say that. However, the lenders are caught in this in-between phase because the federal government is saying make all these loans, but they're not guaranteeing them. And way back when the Consumer Protection Financial Bureau was created, it was because of all the poor underwriting that the federal government thought that the banks did. So now they have these standards that they have to apply to in order to give out federally backed funds. And there's like a glitch there. So the small business banks are saying, look, you've got to fix this so that we can lend this money to qualified people and not be on the hook if they don't repay. So that's sort of a little bit of what some of the confusion and delay has been. We're hoping that's going to be cleaned up in the next couple of weeks. So if your lenders are saying they're not going to lend to you because you don't have an account, please share with me who that lender is. And we have lobbyists at the National Association who are reaching out to both the Small Business Association, letting them know about the confusion in the marketplace, and then also to the lending institutions directly so that they understand that they know that that's not an acceptable requirement.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm not seeing any other questions come up. If you do, let's see, just double check. If you do have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. Myself, Maria, MAR staff, everybody's just been fantastic. We will get you answers to your questions. We'll help you get the answers if we don't have the answers already. Before we close, I'd just like to offer special thanks to both Kurt and Teresa for sharing their time and knowledge with us today. You can get the most up-to-date information from MAR on their dedicated website, marcovid19.com. Also, if you want to stay on top of what's happening at the national level, you can text COVID-19 to 30644. And for local information, of course, visit us at northeastrealtors.com. We have one more. It says you need to have a commercial account.
Right. So Bank of America and Wells Fargo are both cited often for making these claims that do not comply. In fact, I believe Wells Fargo, they filed suit against a couple of days ago for issues just like this. So keep your eyes open for the news about what the federal government says to Bank of America for creating an extra level of requirements that's not in the regulations.
Kristen, could I also add one other thing for your
Absolutely.
listeners as well? So one of the questions we've been getting a lot from our practitioners is how can I best be using my time while I'm working from home right now? So I just wanted to make a couple of quick plugs. First of all, please do check out NAR's Right Tools Right Now program. There's a lot of really good programs out there, and they're at significant reduced or free costs. I think there's something like 250 programs. So for example, the ePro, one of my team members just finished that and loved the program. They've taken away all the fees for the ePro, and they've reduced the designation fee by 50% down to $75. So you can get your ePro fee, ePro designation for like $75. The other thing, huge opportunity right now, C2EX, which is the Commitment to Excellence program. Wonderful program. I would love to see 100% of every realtor in Massachusetts get that. We talk about all the time raising professionalism within our industry, and it's a wonderful program. There's no cost to get that C2EX designation. And even I have going through the program, remembered things I had forgotten and was reminded of things that I had forgotten as well. It's a really good program. It's really good information. So definitely do that. Use this opportunity. What I can tell you is we have a unique situation here in Massachusetts. We have a very strong housing market with a significant number of buyers that want to buy and a significant shortage of homes on the market that are available for sale. So that means that after we get through these COVID-19 issues, your demand as realtors is going to be higher than it ever has been to help buyers that desire home ownership get into those homes. So please, please, please take this opportunity to sharpen the saw, learn new technologies, work virtually. You can do listing presentations and buyer client presentations from the comfort of your home and get your clients ready for when you're heading back in the field. But be ready. It's going to be a very dynamic real estate market when everything reopens. And I know that our practitioners are some of the best real estate agents in the world. And I want to make sure that you can take advantage of that great market that's going to be coming down the pipe.
And yes, Wendy, C2EX does qualify for your code of ethics 3-year requirement. Sorry. So yes, start your C2EX. You won't have to do your code of ethics. That will apply. That looks like about it. Again, thank you so much, Teresa and Kurt. We really appreciate you being here, helping to answer these questions. To our members, please reach out. We're always happy to help you and get your questions answered. I hope that you all stay safe and healthy, and keep us posted of anything new that you're hearing in your market. Thank you again.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for all you're doing.
Be
Thank
safe,
you.
everyone.
You too.